I mean, this is all about series starting in January.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah. So, I mean, once it gets into January.
did you have like a Christmas joke that you were going to give out to?
I was going to say something, but I just caught myself before I just blurted it out and ruined the podcast. Because this is not ruining it.
Welcome, everyone, to the Palm Valley Church Podcast, where we invite God into everyday conversations. My name is Mark Grohocky, and today, this is one of our last podcasts of the year. So that's why I have you here.
The decade.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
My son let me know the other day, he's like, this is my last full day of school for the decade.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
That's
pretty.
This is a lot of pressure, Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a lot of pressure for you to bring some great wisdom.
You're the interviewer. I can only
That's a good
I
point.
can respond to your questions.
All right. I'm feeling the pressure.
Back on your
I was trying to balance it a little bit, but that's all right. Well, I'm glad you're here. That's for sure.
I'm glad to be here.
In the midst of this Christmas season and everything else. So it's good. We're excited about kind of closing out this year. But we're starting off the new year. I'm excited with what we're starting off the new year because we're kicking off with a new series. And this series it's titled Boundaries, or at least that's what's going to come from in that.
Yeah. It's called Boundaries. How to say yes and no. Or how to say yes, when to say yes, and how to say no.
There we go.
That's what it is.
Yes, I love it.
When to say yes and how to say no.
Why that one to kick off the year? What's kind of been on your heart with this?
Well, you know what? We live in a culture now that our natural state is just to be super busy, is to say yes to so many different things. Because they're great opportunities. We live, this is the amazing part. We live in an amazing country with so many great opportunities for ourselves, for our kids, for work, for our spiritual life, church.
Right.
And the tendency is just to say yes to everything because we don't want to let a moment pass us by.
Yeah.
But a couple months of that, and you're just like, I'm done. Like, I can't say yes. Like, I can't handle everything I've said yes to. Things are suffering. You're doing everything like a quarter level of
but your capacity of what you can handle.
Yeah. It's so how do we before we go into this new year, or as we're going into it, really, because we're starting in January, and instead of, hey, what's 5 goals to make for this year, which people are going to do that naturally, and sometimes we've done that with our kickoff series. Last year we did the reading through the Bible.
Yeah.
But this one is like, let's just walk into this year and let's just talk about how we have healthy boundaries in every area of our life, because that allows us to say yes to the right things and no to the wrong things. I mean, it really comes from Jesus' passage on the Sermon on the Mount. Just that very simple, let your yes be yes and your no be no.
Yeah.
And we get into so much problems when we get outside of that.
Yeah.
We say yes, but we really mean maybe. And like, if I can get to it, but we don't communicate it that way. So then we're letting people down and we're feeling pressure. And then just a bunch of guilt, right? Like all the guilt that comes when we don't follow through.
Yeah.
So how do we save all of that headache?
Yeah. What do you think people's lives would look like if we were able to have just healthy boundaries? If people are able to do that, how do you think that would help people?
I think the word simple would be there because you would have a lot less things that are just cluttering up your time.
Yeah.
I think focused would be another word that would describe it. That you are giving attention to the things that you need to give attention to. And it's not as narrow as, okay, I need to put the focus on my family.
Right.
Because it's what part of your family, what activities with your family, even get that more narrowed down so that when you're spending time with your kids, it's focus time, it's quality time, not just being in the same room. Like that's great to like your kids seeing you around, but making the most of that time focused. Yeah. So simplified, focused, are 2 words that I would use to just kind of describe it.
Oh, yeah. And so how have you seen that, I guess, maybe in your life? Like when it comes to boundaries, where do you see it kind of pop up a lot or things that you work on?
Well, so I believe this isn't something that you settle once and for all.
Yeah.
Boundaries is a lifelong journey because as soon as you have boundaries set, there's a new opportunity.
Yeah.
There's another, hey, would you participate in this? And, ministry-wise, I have to put some boundaries around my time. Because, man, I love Palm Valley Church, like what's going on here each and every week and what I can contribute to the mission. So, spending my time on the message and the teaching and vision and delegating other things and not getting sucked into other meetings that I shouldn't be involved in.
Yeah.
Not responding to every single hospital call.
Right.
But I'm a pastor. Like I love people. So saying yes to the right ones, the people I have personal relationships with, or there's something really serious, like, okay, I'm going to respond to this one, but I can't do that one.
Yeah.
it's that balancing act all the time. And then within the scope of ministry, because we're a large church, because we have influence in the community, what other organizations do I get involved with?
Yeah.
We have a coalition of churches here in the West Valley, Better Together.
Yeah.
I put some effort into that. We put some effort into purpose-driven training for coaches both here and far in Haiti and Africa. John 17, the unity of the church around the globe. I put some effort into that, but I do those 3 things.
Yeah.
But there are about 50 more,
Right.
like emails, invitations, meetings that people set up.
Yeah.
Like, would you give some effort to this? And it's just, they're great
Yeah.
things. They're
It's not that
amazing.
you don't like them or agree with what they're doing.
That's the
right?
hardest thing. It's like,
Right.
it's such incredible things, missions opportunities all around the world.
Yeah.
But I can only do so much. And kind of through prayer and looking at my gifts and abilities, what I'm naturally good at, these are the things I'm going to contribute my time and effort to.
I love that you bring that up because I think that's maybe what we all struggle with the most is by you saying yes to some of the things that you do in Africa. What you're saying is you're saying no to some time with your family, that you're actually going to spend some time away from your family in that. And that's a very difficult thing. And by you saying yes to anything else, it's time away from your family, time away from other friends or whatever it may be. And I think that's why this is such an important series that we're doing because we all are dealing with this.
Yeah. Well, even just using that example, I think that's a great example that you brought up because it did take time away from my family. So there was an intentional conversation going into that first year. So I took 6 trips that first year.
Yeah.
So 60 days in Africa. That was a conversation between me and my wife and my kids that this is going to be a busy year, but it's not going to always be this way. Like it can't always be this way for the health of our family, for the health of Palm Valley Church, but we're going to get this started. The next year, it's going to be 2 trips. And now we're at a point where I go once a year.
Yeah.
And because of all that heavy work at the beginning, the momentum's going. I was able to put some boundaries around that. Like I will work this hard for this long.
Yeah.
But then we're going to have to move to a different setup for the long-term health of it.
Well, I love that because you have a boundary around your marriage. And so because of that, you didn't make that decision isolated and alone. Yeah. You made that decision with your wife to say, okay, here's the boundary we're going to set.
Yeah.
We together are coming to the conclusion of it'll be 6 times the first year. It'll be a couple times the next year.
Yeah. And that's because I'm a perfect husband.
Yeah.
So,
that's right.
I shared the win there. There are plenty of times where I come home and it's like, Adrian, guess where we need to be tonight?
Right.
I forgot to tell you about, this event we need to go to.
Right.
And so, I'm a work in progress on this.
Right. Well, I think, but like I say, that's such a huge part of boundaries is being able to understand there are so many other things and people involved with it. And so understanding, if you have a family, if you've got these other people connected to you, you've got to set the boundary in the right place with the right people, the right decision makers on some level has to be in it. Because a boundary in and of itself is you're protecting yourself, but then you're taking one more circle out, you're protecting your family, and then you're protecting different things that go along with it.
Yeah.
And so I love that you and Adrian had a conversation about that. It's such a huge point and part of this.
Yeah. I think probably too the areas that affect families so much are boundaries around our kids' activities. I think that's one that gets out of control really quick. I know we're always bumping up to the edge of like, okay, this is too much. Just with 4 kids, different activities. So we've kind of created a boundary. You guys can each do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And it's not a club thing.
Right.
It's a thing where it requires like for baseball season. It's 2 practices a week, 1 game on the weekend.
Yeah.
Not on a Sunday. Like those are the boundaries we put around some of these activities. And the kids do marching band. Okay, it's this season. It's gonna be really busy, but you're not doing the year-round club marching band because that's not healthy for your spiritual walk because you need to be in church every single week. You need to be in a small group.
Yeah.
Like there are things that are more important spiritually in their life than these activities. They're important.
Yeah.
Like the value that they add to my kids, the lesson they're learning is so good. But putting boundaries around that. And then the other one I think that people struggle with is just work boundaries. We want to succeed at work. Like we don't want to be the guy that does the minimum.
Yeah.
The guy that does the minimum, like doesn't get their promotion, doesn't get the raise.
Yeah, so, there's a payoff. There's a payoff at the end.
Yeah, literal. Like it's a step by you do this, and you move up.
Yeah.
But sometimes this becomes this plus these 8 other things that we think we need to do.
Yeah.
Because we don't know when to say no. Once a supervisor or manager finds the person that's always going to say yes, guess
Right.
what? They're coming all the time.
Right.
So how do we create those healthy boundaries? And we even do that here at church with our ministry staff to say, okay, there are three time periods during the day: morning, afternoon, evening. My expectation is if it's a work day, you work 2 of those.
Yeah.
So I don't expect you to get here at 8:30, when the doors open, be here all afternoon, here till 11 at night doing
Right.
rehearsals with worship team.
Right.
If you got rehearsals with worship team, come in at noon.
Yeah.
Afternoon, evening. But
Yeah. It's setting setting boundaries around the priorities in life.
Yeah.
I mean, I love how you bring kind of some of that up, especially just with your kids on that of, hey, you can be in this as long as there's not practices or games on Sundays, because we go to church on the weekends. That's
Yeah.
a priority for our family. I think it comes the same thing of, there may be a great payoff of a higher raise if you stay all these late nights at work. But if it means you have no relationship with your family, you have to determine what's your priority.
Yeah.
Do you want a relationship with your kids and with your spouse, or do you just want that larger paycheck? Is that
Yeah.
what it's all about?
Well, that thing with my kids, what will I be more happy about later in life?
Right.
If my 4 children are following Christ at an old age, or they're all amazing cello players.
Right. Right.
Hands, it's not even
Yeah.
doesn't even compute.
Yeah.
So I need to protect them. I can't make those decisions for them.
Yeah.
But while they're under my care and under my leadership, I'm going to help them set those healthy boundaries.
Yeah. Well, and what I love is I think you do a great job of this, of leading us as a staff, of you've helped on some level, you understand what it is to be a pastor, obviously. And so you understand for for all the pastors underneath you to be able to say, hey, this job, there may be late hospital visits, there may be long weekends, whether it's Christmas or Easter time, we know those weeks leading up to it are extremely busy. So you always tell us, make sure you're balancing it with time with your family, time off afterwards once we've got through that busy season. So I think you've done a great job as a boss, really setting the boundaries for us, or at least making sure we're aware of, hey, make sure that your priority is your emotional health, your family's health, and those types of things.
And to have a little bit larger view, because there
Right.
are weeks where we have to sprint.
Yep.
Went through Toys and More.
Right.
That wasn't a work 2, rest 1 type. There were several days where it was just super long days.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's followed up by a week with not super long days.
Yeah.
And some time off coming, and
Yeah. It's a huge thing. I mean, as bosses, if we're leading employees, we've got to be aware of that. As we're leading a family, we have to be aware of that. And then we have to recognize it ourselves of where our boundaries are at with it. So if there's what's one thing you're hoping at the end of all this series that people, they really grab onto and remember and are going to implement maybe in their life?
I think that the biggest thing is how to say no in a way that's honoring to that person that made the request.
Yeah.
But not carrying guilt when you walk away. I think that's the biggest thing. We might say no, but we carry guilt, and we just feel horrible about it that we didn't stay late for that one thing, or we didn't go to that one last party, or didn't have that friend over because we were really tired, and we feel horrible about it, even though it was the healthy thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you think maybe people walk away feeling guilty when it comes to that word no and turning people down on things?
Well, because we don't like to hear no.
Yeah.
I don't like to hear no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we project the way that we feel on the other people. Like we know that they're not liking this. They wanted us to say yes, and we're not fulfilling what they wanted. So we just carry just an empathy for it. I think guilt is when we carry it too long.
Yeah.
And I think it's just kind of a natural thing.
I like that. So basically in this series, you're going to give us permission to say no. I like
Not
that.
you.
Oh, no. I have to keep saying yes. Wait a minute.
I'm just kidding. Yes, no, yes.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Wait a second. Where are we at? Permission to say no.
Yeah.
But this is also, so I think at this point, people can sit back thinking like, what does this have to do with God? Like what is this a spiritual thing at all? But it absolutely is. That God has created us with unique gifts and abilities and things that he wants us to accomplish and experiences. Yeah. And this is how to say yes and no. This isn't just a rational, like sit down and pros and cons.
Right.
There's some of that God has given his incredible mind, but it's also the guide of the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
That God has a plan for our lives, that he wants to be, we've been having these conversations, Lord of our life. Yeah. Like he wants us to serve him in everything that we do, that he is the ultimate decision maker there. So how does Jesus being the Lord of our life affect what I say yes and no to.
Yeah.
Because if it's just up to us, then we'll come up with some probably good plan.
Yeah.
But not a God plan, not a spiritual plan, not a moving us forward in our relationship with God plan.
Well, and I love that. I can think of so many stories of Jesus of when he said no. You know, Lazarus is sick, and they said, "Hey, you need to come now," and he said, "No, I've still got some stuff to do here." And so he set such a great example for that. And so, being able to see just Jesus's life in this, I think, is a huge thing. So, all right, good. Well, so as we close here, New Year's resolution. I mean, do you have like one thing that you're kind of putting on your calendar and docket for you that you're going to work on this year?
No, I don't really have a New Year's resolution.
Okay.
I've got some goals.
Yeah.
Like some things that I want to kind of check off the list this year.
Yeah.
So, those are kind of some of those things.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not a big New Year's resolution person myself either. Though this year, this is like the first time I'm like saying this out loud. So, I'm gonna try to like be a little bit less sarcastic this year. I feel like I've been doing too much of it lately, you know?
So what? I don't understand, Mark. That is that was sarcasm. I'm sorry.
I'm trying this year.
Okay.
I'm trying to see what God's going to do in my life for that. So that's my
So
kind
what's
of goal this
your
year.
do you have an accountability partner for that? I mean,
no.
would you like me to be the accountability partner for that?
Sure, if you want. Every time you come on the podcast, you're just going to ask how it's going?
I'm going to get a Nerf gun and I'm just going to shoot you every time you're sarcastic.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I could do that.
Just for meetings.
Yeah. Just waiting for it.
Yeah. You know what? That's I love that goal because that is something that I'm sarcastic. I don't know. It's probably just the lowest form of comedy. It's the easiest form.
Right.
It's the easiest way to be funny. It's easy to lose, blow off steam, release tension, all that stuff. It's a way to make yourself not feel uncomfortable because that's usually when I do it. Like I feel uncomfortable, so I say something sarcastic.
Yeah.
And so many times it hurts people.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my goal this year. That's what I'm working on. So yeah, we'll see. Well, I'm looking forward to this series too. It'll be fantastic. So thanks for joining us today and giving us a little preview of it, of the series. So
sounds good.
Everyone else, make sure you connect with us, like say online or on one of our physical campuses. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And have a great New Year, everyone.
Yeah.
We'll
Thanks
see you
for
next week.
listening to the last podcast of the decade.
Well, one of our last ones. We may do a year-end one as well. But
Ruined it.
all right. No, you're doing fine. Don't worry. We can make it the last one if we need to.
No. One of the last podcasts of the decade. That's fine.
Perfect. Have a great week, everyone.
Well, you got an intro for your last podcast of the decade. You can start it with just replay that. Well, we decided to go ahead and do it.
The best part was Austin's face as you were saying it. He goes, "No, well, I thought we were doing the year-end one."